One of the most challenging aspects of a toxic work environment is those difficult work relationships. We want them to go better, but it seems pretty impossible. So this presentation is designed to help you transform those difficult work conversations. I'm Liz St. Jean. I'm your host of the Mint Ambition Summit, Escape a Toxic Job Edition, and I'm really excited to introduce you to the wonderful Tammy Dunnett. Tammy is the founder of Relationship Revolution, where she is changing the way relationship is done, one conversation at a time. As an ex-target of workplace bullying turned communication coach, she knows interpersonal problems require interpersonal solutions. Everyone deserves a psychologically safe workplace, and Tammy's pause model of conflict engagement and resolution helps you to effectively and confidently handle difficult conversations while keeping your relationships intact. So welcome, Tammy, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I appreciate having this time with you as well. You know, we're both passionate about helping people live better lives, so I'm happy to support.
Oh, wonderful. And this is going to be so helpful for people. So let's dive right into things. And can you give us an overview of how work relationships contribute to a toxic environment?
Well, I think fundamentally, if they're not happy with how the resolution of a conversation goes, we have a tendency to make up stories. And it's not to say that it isn't true that something bad is happening or that someone is a bully. Not to say it isn't true, but we tend to walk away and make up stories, and then we get into our camps, right? It becomes a he, she thing, and we don't know the next step to resolution because we were unsuccessful the first time we tried.
And that's super interesting. You said that word twice. I was picking up on it, resolution, and it sounds like that might be a key part of it. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you know, the old labels people use about their own conflict styles, avoiders, accommodators, and the gold standard being assertive. We tend to wear those hats as if that's the only thing we can be. And there isn't a single person I've met or coached that doesn't want resolution. But in some ways, because of those hats that they wear, particularly avoiders, people write them off as being capable of resolution. And that's not true.
Yeah, and the other piece I'm hearing too is that the conversation or the relationship might be conflictual or difficult or however we label it, and it's that resolution, the ending piece that matters so much. Am I hearing that, understanding that correctly?
Oh, 100%. And everybody wants it. Like even the assertive, even the aggressive, like all those old labels people wear. I like to toss them aside and teach people a little differently. But yeah, they all want connection and peace at the end of the day.
Focusing more on what people want rather than the labels of the who of who they are. Okay, so what other piece? Can you tell us the difference between what would be just like a bad day, regular kind of bad day versus a bully?
That is such an important question because the difference is actually what makes the impact in our resolution activities. So we have all rolled our eyes, maybe said a sarcastic remark under our breath, and wanted to talk badly about someone or something before and have partaked in those things. You know, it's a way to get rid of some of the negative energy. The intention behind that is what matters. Now we measure the impact. Both a bad day and a bully feel horrible. It's unwanted, we don't like it. And both a bad day and a bully have verbal and nonverbal elements. Sighs, making comments, isolating. The difference becomes in a bully, there is an intention to degrade, humiliate, and isolate. Like this is their drive, is to remove you and degrade you from others. The other thing is a bully is also misusing their power to gain control. And if you have a true bully, which the stats will tell you there's, you know, a lot of them in the workplace, but the research and my experience has been that there's a lot of bad days in the workplace. And when we come together, 85% of those bad days, the behaviors stop with one conversation. The problem is only a small amount of people are engaging in them.
Right. Well, and this, I don't mean to pull us off topic too much, but I'm actually really curious, like whether your research has shown like the people who are more of that bully, like that, there's that intention. Do we know what's motivating, like what causes someone to do that?
Yeah, actually, the research also shows that, I mean, most bullies have been labeled as bosses. Over 70% of the bullies in the workplace are managers, supervisors, leaders. But I honestly, and as this is coming from a target, I don't believe that they wake up in the morning thinking, how can I ruin Tammy's day? And the research supports that. We want to believe it so badly because it would validate our perception. But the research actually shows that they're trying to get the job done and they're not thinking about how they're landing and impacting. So most bullies are actually unaware of their actions. And I know your audience is going, there is no way that I
How is it possible, right? Like they have to
right?
know. Yeah.
Let me share just a quick example. I was working with nurses and these students were sharing their names and their patients for the day. And this one student had shared, and a healthcare aide actually had, that's your assignment? And I was new to this facility and I'm looking around. Nobody seemed to even be bothered by that statement. I looked at my students and they just kind of like crumpled in. So after the morning reports, I talked to my students and they said, oh, she's always like this, because I was just filling in. I'm like, okay. I talked to the staff and I said, hey, is this just a, like, is she always like this, or is she having an off day? She's always like this. And you would think everybody else seeing that would think that was offensive. How could she not know that what she just said was not offensive? But when I pulled her aside and I shared with her what I observed and the impact that the students were avoiding her and going to another unit to get support to bring that staff member over, she was horrified. She had no idea because nobody said anything, because that's just her. We ignore her. And this is what happens a lot in the work.
Yeah. And actually that kind of brings us to that next question of, how is it or why is it that some people find themselves in these difficult situations?
I think part of it is we don't know how to have a conversation to say, hey, what you're doing is bothering me. Can you please stop? And we do try. I mean, there's a lot of people who have tried, and a lot of your audience members will have said, oh no, I have spoken up and I have told them. As an asserter using those old labels, our methodology also matters. Just because you can tell somebody doesn't mean you're doing it in a way that's non-defense arousing and that will be focused on connection first and will get you results.
That's really interesting, because I'm almost hearing too that for the people watching, some might kind of fall into the camp where, like you're saying, the non-defense arousing. So maybe they're approaching in a way that's creating those defenses. And there might be some people in the audience that are falling, it's almost like a pendulum, falling in the camp of maybe not having that connection. Like they might not be creating defenses, but maybe not connecting as much. Am I on the right track there in understanding?
Yeah, because we're so focused on the I, right? It's about, I am being disrespected. I am being dishonored. I'm not being seen. I'm not being heard. And I'm going to let you know about it for those who are asserters. But the way in which we bring that up matters. And so there's two questions you can ask yourself. One is, so when you feel that first flush of feeling disrespected, am I in flight or fight? Because we'll have an emotional reaction, and that's an important thing to note. And the second thing is, am I willing to talk about the issue directly or not talk about it? So people who are in flight, for example, and not talking about the issue, they're the ones who are the avoiders, right? They're the ones pulling away, changing topic, maybe talking to somebody different. They just don't want to touch it because they don't know how. Whereas on the opposite spectrum, you've got the people who are in fight mode and they are talking about it. That's the asserter. We have a problem. I need to talk to you. But it doesn't mean that both parties share the same pattern. And they're not going through the energetic movement of conflict at the same pace. And so it's really understanding where people are and building a bridge.
Sometimes we might find ourselves in the avoider, and sometimes we might find ourselves in that more assertive, right? Is that pretty normal? Sometimes you're in one and sometimes you're the other?
100%. We're actually a blend of all four styles. I call them conflict engagement styles, and we are a blend of all of them, which is the key. Because with the old label asserter, if you were to tell me I was an avoider, I would be insulted because I'm like, oh no, I'm going to stand up for myself. And if you're an avoider and you try to tell them that they can be an assertive, they're like, oh my God, no, never, I can't. But in fact, when you look at the energy that you're using to go through, it's like moving through conflict is a process. We're always in movement. We're not stuck in these camps of avoider and asserter, but we're moving through. And we need to draw on the strengths of all of those pieces of us to get to resolution. But in order to honor them, we need to get rid of these labels.
So we get rid of their labels. And I understand you have an ingredient, like there's one missing ingredient for these conversations.
I have a 5-step process that people need to follow. So the first thing you have to do is set your intention. And this isn't just, I'm going to go tell them what I think about them. It's the why underneath it. What does this matter? Why are you doing this? So really set your intention as to what you want, truly want. And then the second step is to purposefully plan. Now this can happen in a flash. This can take a couple days as you think about the pieces. That's okay. The third thing is gut check. And I think this is where people fail because they do, I'm going to talk about this. I do all this planning. I'm ready. The next time they come up to me, I'm going to say something. And that moment comes. Oh God, no, I'm not saying anything, because we need to get back grounded into why we started the whole process of planning and honor who we are and what we need to go into the next step, which is doing. We actually need to move into action. And then the last step is reflecting on what worked, what didn't work, what your strengths were, what you want to change, and continue that process.
Yeah, it's getting back into what you were saying before about recognizing it's not about being a label or being a count, but recognizing it's a process you're going through. It's you're doing a being. There's like a verb as opposed to an adjective to get into the nerdy English aspect of it.
Love it. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely a verb. It's motion.
Yeah. All right. So what is one key action step you would love for people to take, the people who are watching this?
All right, if I were to ask them to do one thing, I think I would ask them to get really clear on their intention. So when you're having issues and you're moving away from it, what is your intention? What are you protecting yourself from? What are you wanting to honor in yourself? What are you wanting to say about yourself? Because that movement away will communicate values. And if you're moving towards it, you also need to know, why am I moving towards this conflict? Is it about being right? Is it about being seen, about being heard, about having a voice? Like, what is it that's making you move towards a particular direction? And then go one layer deep. So the first is that movement, recognize the why you're moving. And then the second thing is, why is it important to you? And most people want connection. They want to feel seen. They want to feel heard. They want to feel loved and that they belong. And it's usually one of those 4 reasons. So connect deep down into that.
And so for those of you watching, those of you who are engaging in the Facebook group, I'd love for you to come on over, come to the group, and let's share with one another. Share, if you have a conflictual relationship, just to, as Tammy was saying, like just to reflect on it. Are you moving towards it or away from it? And why is that? And then dig deeper into one of those reasons. Come share with us.
Yeah, this will save your marriage. On mine, speaking from experience, this can save your job. This can elevate your career. The power of having a conversation that is really heart-centered and truly focused on your intention is like, it comes back to you in spades.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, and I understand that you have a fantastic free resource for people. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the biggest question I get asked is, okay, Tammy, I want to do this, but I don't know what to say. So from the research, this is from Dr. Martha Griffith's research of 2004, she did a study and she scripted 10 responses to the 10 most offensive behaviors you're likely to see in the workplace. And from those responses, she had incredible results. Nearly 100% of the people who used these scripted responses were able to diminish or stop the offensive behavior with one conversation. So I've taken her research, it's all credited to her, and I just made a few small tweaks, because it's a healthcare-based study, so that you can apply this to any situation. So it's called the 10 safe conversation starters, so that when somebody comes and they backstab, they sabotage you, they roll their eyes at you, you have a non-defense arousing way to address it and open up a conversation where you can explore it. Because we'll have our story, we're going to say, oh, they must think I'm stupid, but we don't know if that's true. So it's really simple to just say, hey, I noticed you rolled your eyes. And if there's something you'd like to say to me, I'd love to hear it. Open it up. Call it out, open it up.
I love that. And I know I love getting scripts. I'm sure people watching are. So for everyone watching, you're going to be able to get that where you're watching this video. There'll be a link, there'll be a button for you to go and download that. And thank you, Tammy, on behalf of everyone who's watching, on behalf of myself, thank you so much for this. Super interesting. And thank you for the resource. This has been wonderful learning from you.
Awesome. I'm happy to support, and don't forget to download it. Like, take the guesswork out of what to say and then just focus on those other steps.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.